My name is Matthew Algan, and I'm here today to inform you about the general public's view on health and eating disorders. We're going to focus specifically and most of the time on eating disorders, but I'm going to focus a little bit about the public health. One of the biggest things in recent news is last month the plus size model was released for the Sports Illustrated cover. Ironically, and something to think about, is that the current view on public health is actually very and extremely unhealthy. According to Mirasol.net, up to 10% of college females suffer from a clinically diagnosed eating disorder. That means that they've gone to the doctor and they have been prescribed a medicine or treatment for this type of disorder. In this speech, I'm going to be focusing on hitting 6 different main points. We're going to talk about what eating disorders are, who do eating disorders affect, the type of effects that eating disorders have, the general public's view of what is healthy, how social media has impacted eating disorders, and one of the main ongoing things that was actually started on a social media site in China. It was like Facebook, but we're going to talk about the A4 paper challenge. In order to understand what eating disorders are and the effects that they have, who they affect, how they affect people, we have to first understand what they are. An eating disorder it's a clinically diagnosed disease where people think that they are truly unhealthy or unattractive. Most of the time they think they're unattractive rather than unhealthy. Someone who thinks they're unhealthy will probably go out and work out, eat better, make a change. They may go on a diet, but this is still considered an eating disorder. Others who think they are unattractive will binge eat, they will stop eating, to forcing yourself to throw up. So an eating disorder can be anything from dieting to not eating to working out too much to forcing yourself to throw up. Anything unhealthy can be classified as an eating disorder some way, shape, or form, one way or the other. Another thing to think about is that eating disorders not only harm the mentality of the person, they also harm the physical form of the person. I mean, losing 50 pounds, 80 pounds, 100 pounds, 200 pounds causes your hair to fall out. I mean, it causes throwing up, causes the acid in your stomach to melt holes in your throat. I mean, it's all around a bad deal. And the problem is this is actually a clinically diagnosed disorder. These people can't help this. It's not something that they can just change or fix. They need. I mean, eating disorders are they're extremely expensive and hard to take care of. Again, from Minnesota.net, up to 15% of all Americans will face an eating disorder sometime in their life. I mean, 2 out of 3 of 100 women, 2 or 3 out of 100 women will face bulimia in their life. I mean, they will force themselves to throw up, and they will suffer serious physical and even more mental consequences. I mean, the physical stress from throwing up takes a huge toll on your body, but the mental stress is ridiculous from beating yourself up all day, every day, thinking you're never good enough. That's really it's a horrible disorder, and no one wants to deal with that. 20 million women and 10 million men will face eating disorders in the United States alone. And again, this is according to mysol.net, but I never realized how bad of a disorder this was. And after doing this research, I've definitely taken a different look at how serious this situation is. Let's consider some of the consequences from these eating disorders. According to Eating Disorders.org, up to 5 to 10% of anorexics die within the first 10 years of contracting the disease. When you're anorexic, this means that you've simply decided to stop eating, or you eat one meal a day, you eat anywhere between 5 and 800 calories a day. This is just not enough fuel in term. Your body just starts to shut down. It breaks down muscle. It starts to eat itself away because you simply don't have enough fuel to run, and you don't have enough energy to do anything. I mean, the problem with anorexia, bulimic, anything like that is you lose all motivation for anything. You don't have energy to do anything. You're tired all the time. It's a horrible thing. And I mean, 18 to 20% of anyone with anorexia will be dead within 20 years of contracting the disease. I mean, that's 1 in 5 people that die in 20 years. I mean, in 20 years or less of contracting this disease. I mean, this is it's horrible, but this mental illness, it kills more people than any other mental illness. I mean, this is the number one mental illness that kills anybody. I mean, suicidal, anything like that. Eating disorders kill more people than any other mental disease out there. Without treatment, up to 20% of people with serious eating disorders die. I mean, with treatment, the mortality rate drops to 2 to 3%. I mean, the problem is with the treatments, as it can cost anywhere from $500 to $2,800 per day, and usually with an eating disorder, you need to spend anywhere between 6 and 9 months. You're talking tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for treatment for these disorders, and not everyone has the money to go through and do this. And I mean, another problem is that not everyone who has these disorders wants to admit that they have the disorder. They think that it's just normal, that they see themselves as unattractive, they throw up, they want to hide that, they don't want to share that. And it's a serious problem that's killing a lot of people. This is according to the nationaleatingdisorders.org, but only about 1 in 10 people will actually receive treatment for this eating disorder. I mean, look at the effects that this can have. I mean, it can slow your heart rate and decrease your blood pressure, which means you're actually changing your heart muscle. The risk for heart failure increases dramatically. It reduces your bone density, so now you have osteoporosis. Your chance of breaking bones, you're more brittle. You can break bones easier. You're absolutely more brittle. Your blood pressure is lower. Your muscles lose their strength. You start to become weak. You get severe dehydration, which is horrible because now not only are your bones brittle and your muscles are weak, but now you're dehydrated. So now you have a headache. Your heart is starting to fail. Your liver starts to fail. Your kidneys start to fail. You start to faint. You feel fatigue. I mean, you get dry hair and dry hair and skin loss, which is extremely common, but it's not really a cool thing to have. And another one of the things that really just blew my mind, blew me out of the water, is you actually get something called the growth of a dowry layer of hair, and this hair grows all over your body. It grows on your face, on your back, on your chest. It grows all over your body, and it's actually your body trying to warm itself back up from all the heat loss and the pain, the suffering that your body is going through. Everything is growing this layer of hair to try and recuperate and regenerate some of the stuff that it's lost, and it's actually just keeping the body warm because the blood pressure falls, the heart starts to fail, the kidneys start to fail, the liver starts to fail, everything starts to fail and shut down. And this is like a last ditch effort to grow hair and to actually warm the body back up to its normal 99.8-degree temperature. Thing to consider is who this eating disorder affects and who is really truly hit the hardest by this. And again, according to Mirasol.net, I mean, 50% of girls between 11 and 13 see themselves as overweight. There was a study done, and between 11 and 13 years old, 50% of those girls, one out of every two girls, saw themselves as overweight. They saw themselves as not attractive, and they wanted to make a change. They didn't think that they were good enough. They weren't comfortable in their own skin between 11 and 13 years old. This to me is just, it's not right. That's not how things should be. I mean, you should be comfortable in your own skin. You should like who you are, but that's not how it is anymore, and it's kind of really, it's sad to see. And then 86% of people with eating disorders will be diagnosed, or they'll find themselves with this disorder by the age of 20 years old. I mean, so we're finding eating disorders in the youth. I mean, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all these social media sites that young children are now following, they find that the skinnier, I mean, look at all the trends set by the Victoria's Secret models. Look at everything. Everything set is to be as skinny, as beautiful as you can. All the advertising companies are majorly hitting hard, going home on wear more makeup. Makeup makes a young lady beautiful. Get your hair done. Get your hair curled. I mean, these young ladies are starting to really feel the effects of the social media impact that this has, and it's really awful. Another thing, ladies, women, girls, they are not the only people affected by this. I mean, 20 million females are affected by this, but 10 million men are also affected by this, and these are statistics in the United States provided by Mirasol.net. But I mean, still, that's horrible. That's awful. I mean, young boys are seeing themselves as they need to start working out. They need to stop eating. I mean, the fact that people are actually stopping eating or causing themselves to throw up, it's not a good thing for the future of our country. According to thedailybeast.com, the definition of dieting and the drive for fitness is that dieting and weight control strategies reflect how dissatisfied an individual is with his or her own body size and shape. Besides being associated with the onset of eating disorders, these behaviors alone can diagnose to one's health. I mean, 42% of first grade girls want to be thinner. This fact is mind blowing. I mean, I cannot possibly see that 4.2 out of 10 girls in the third grade see themselves as needing to be thinner. I mean, and this just reflects back to the social media part of the social media impact, the fact that social media has such a huge impact on eating disorders. I mean, alone Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram control the market. They're advertising the technology that they throw out there. They're leading the youth into such a bad place to be, and they see this and they see, okay, I need to look like that, I need to act like that, I need to be like them, and that's not how things should be. This leads me to my last main point, and this point comes from HelloGiggles.com, not exactly a really great source to come up with, but I found that one of the things for the A4 paper challenge that one of the articles that they produced or published about that was extremely, actually really full of information. They actually did a study with 40,000 people, and it ended up being really fascinating. The A4 paper challenge is a piece of printer paper, a simple piece of printer paper, and what you do is you hold up to your waist. As you can see, I would fail the A4 paper challenge because they're saying that your waist size needs to be the same, if not thinner, than the piece of A4 printer paper. And an A4 piece of printer paper is basically your average size of printer paper, you know, the piece of paper that comes out of a printer when you print on it, no matter what it is. I mean, according to HelloGiggles.com, the U.S. average women's waist size is 37.8 inches. And if you measure it, feel free to measure it, and the thing about the A4 paper challenge is it has to be the short side. If you use the long side, that is not what it is. The A4 paper challenge is the short side of the piece of paper. The short side of an A4 piece of paper is 8.3 inches long. We're looking at, I mean, that's awful. The average waist size is 37.8 inches, and we're the social media is saying that we need to be 8.3 inches thin in the waist, which I personally find extremely unhealthy because, as you can see, I would fail, and doesn't really concern me that I fail. I work out a lot and I take care of myself. I eat well, and that's just what it is. I mean, I don't have any serious eating disorders, and I don't need to fit the mind of the social media. If I don't fit, then I just don't fit, and that's how it is. The A4 paper challenge originated from a website like Facebook from China. It was from a Chinese site, and I mean, as just the way that they are set up as normal, Chinese people are just a little bit smaller than Americans. Americans eat far less healthy, and yeah, it is something to consider, but the Chinese are a little bit smaller than we are, so this isn't even really a fair comparison or something that we should be trying to do. Although if you look around, if you look on social media sites, I've found that a lot of American girls have posted pictures of them either passing or not passing this test online.